It's that time again for the Assault on Your Ears, referred to as Lore Dorks, a Star Trek Lore Decks podcast. I am Aaron, and Stavros is around here somewhere. Tonight on our screens is Of Gods and Angles, yes. And in our cups is not quite a Negroni.
Yes, interesting pick this time from you. It's 1 part gin, half part Benedictine, and a few dashes of orange bitters. I don't think I've ever actually had a regular Negroni, so this is all kind of new to me. It's kind of tasty. We've been going to a lot of gin heavy drinks lately, but this is pretty tasty.
Yeah, we have been going back to the gin well quite a bit, and you know the thing about the not quite Negroni is that it's slightly easier to make than a Negroni, which is normally like gin and vermouth and Campari, and you're supposed to mix it in a certain way.
Right.
Whereas this, you can just throw it into a cup, add a little bit of a dash of your orange bitters, and it works. And it's kind of thematic because we're drinking it on the rocks, and ice is cubes, and oranges are round, and
that's. I think you're making it work.
Yes,
you're making the analogy.
Definitely
work.
Not a reach.
No, not at all. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that because I instead of using little ice cubes, I go with the giant cube, like the one huge cube of ice in a drink, and so I guess I'm on Team Cube right now.
Heck yes.
Can we all agree Team Cube is the best place to be?
Yeah, get rid of those roundies out of here. They're freaking
no edges at all in this, guys.
Circumferences and nonsense like that.
I love it. But today we're here to talk about Of Gods and Angles, as you said. I love the Paramount Plus description of this one. Mariner teams up with a troubled ensign while the Cerritos hosts peace talks between civilizations. This is the most factually accurate description.
Yeah, that's like a real episode description, Paramount Plus. What are you doing?
It's like on the money. There's no humor in there or anything. It's just very factual.
Yeah.
I guess I can get behind that.
You know what? I don't know. I've gotten so used to their sheer nonsense episode descriptions that it's disappointing. I'm not going to lie. I do want to comment on one thing though, because the episode is Of Gods and Angles, right?
Angles. Uh-huh.
So somebody on the IMDb page corrected angles to be angels.
Oh no.
Which is hilarious. Because the episode, the title makes sense in the context of the episode. It's just...
Yeah.
It's obviously not a mistake. I love it. It's hilarious.
I love those kinds of nonsense corrections on wikis. It's always fun.
Yeah. Somebody thinks they know what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, do we want to talk about the episode, or?
Well, I mean, that's why we're here, right?
Oh,
that's
I'm here to drink.
Oh well, yeah, that too. How about the update to the Boimler beard? It's got a little goatee action, and then the sides are filling in.
Yeah, I can never get over that they did a whole season-long animation thing with this. I can't get over how ridiculous it is. It is amazing.
It's looking good. I like that somehow they're small enough updates to like one change every episode somehow works. So whoever's did the art for that is kudos to them.
The real question is, when is he going to finish the beard? Is it going to be the last episode of the season, or is it? And you know what? Maybe that's it. That's his growing the beard moment. Is the series finale? We had
just in time for the show to end.
Season long, and this is going to be his final, because that's the whole Boimler recursive story arc, is never having confidence in himself. So he's always mirroring somebody else. And you know what? Maybe this is it. This is when he finally finds himself.
And we'll talk more about that with that B plot in the episode for sure.
Oh my gosh.
But what we should start with is the Orbs and Cubes and the Zeus progeny plot.
Oh my god.
These photonic life forms with the orbs and cubes. So I was going to trash on this a little bit, and I still will. But photonic life forms, I like they're expanding the definition of that. It's not just holograms. It's anything made out of, I assume, photons.
Yeah, I assume that's
these guys are photonic.
What these guys are. But you know what? So this episode was a little too out there. Like last episode, it was kind of hard for me to get on board because Starbase 80 was so ridiculous and unbelievable. And this episode, it just raises so many questions. Why was the Doctor being a sentient hologram? And he's not the first. Other people have done it. Why was that a big deal if there's photonic life forms out there? Is it the fact that they were artificial? And here's the other weird thing. So Captain Freeman makes the comment of, I had no idea photonic beings could be so petty. And Rutherford makes the comment about whenever photonic life forms are on board. So are photonic life forms just a common thing? Is that like...
It sounds like it.
Yeah, it's super weird.
So my problem was not the fact that photonic life forms apparently are more common than we thought, but like the whole orbs and cubes thing, I could see... I have such mixed feelings because, of course, as we've talked about many times, this show balances on the edge between goofball comedy show and like a legitimate Star Trek show.
And the plot, is legitimate Star Trek. It's the two aliens that are, the Federation's there to broker peace talks. But it was a bit much. Like, what is the biology going on here with these photonic life forms?
I'm not sure. So it is a little shark jumpy. It's like, okay, they're orbs and cubes. Like it's funny. It probably sounded funny when they were writing it. But as I'm talking about it, I mean, this is like roughly the same level of like black on the left, white on the right from TOS.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing. I don't stand by that episode. That episode is ridiculous and ham-fisted. And I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, it should have never been made or it's ridiculous. And it's ridiculous. I'm okay with it, but it's like, it's still a level of ridiculous that just, maybe it's too far.
A little bit too far. It's a little bit too edging into the territory of like, it's in there because it's funny, not because it makes sense in the Star Trek universe, perhaps.
Yeah. And then, that also raises the question, they apparently live in nebulas. So like, I guess we've seen nebula-dwelling life forms before. I think Voyager hit a couple of those up. TNG, there was definitely an episode with one of them. So it's not like it's a thing that doesn't exist, but it's like, this made them a little more like they're not out there. It's just a thing that the Federation knows about, which then raises the question, do they know about it because of all those Voyager and TNG encounters? Or is this a known thing and the Voyager and TNG crews were just dumb for not realizing there's entire races out there that live in nebulas?
Yeah. Maybe this is like a kind of a newer thing. That's the photonic life forms have kind of come out of the woodwork lately.
Yeah, now that they know how to detect them now,
Yeah, I choose to believe that. That at least makes more sense.
Yeah, and but then the other problem is like they're photonic life forms, but they live and behave just like organic life forms or like matter life forms. Like what are they even accomplishing by lifting weights? Like what does that even do?
Let's talk about that. Yeah, because did you notice the cubes that were on the treadmills somehow? They were hovering over the treadmills.
That's exactly. It doesn't make any sense. Oh.
Funny. It's for the lulz, obviously.
But it's one of those where it's like, what the worst part is? At some point, we're probably going to go back and rewatch the series and be like, why did we get bent out of shape about the orbs and cubes when this previous episode is just as ridiculous?
Perhaps. This is the internet after all. We like to get bent out of shape about stupid stuff.
But and that's my thing though, because like I'm talking all trash about the orbs and cubes thing, but like I said previously that like I watched this episode and it was the funniest episode of the season so far for me. I mean, I had so many laugh out loud moments. So many gags that were great. The visual gags were fantastic. So many, like, just great bits and lines that were delivered. And just perfectly delivered, perfectly timed. So it's like, I really liked it, but here I am trashing on the main plot of the episode.
Yeah, of course. Like I said, this is how the internet operates. We should talk about the orbs and cube jokes while we're at it, since we're already waist deep in this. How'd you like Ridorbulus? I thought that was like the best joke of the episode, perhaps the season so far.
I don't know. I'm up there on. There's so many jokes in here that I think are way above that. So I know this is going to sound dumb because this is like a visual gag and it's doesn't mean anything. But I love that the photonic residue on the wall is pixelated. That was hilarious. I love when the shape war happens. Oh my god.
Shape war!
Oh, hilarious.
Is that a reference to South Park? Like Cartman saying race war?
It's pops up in a lot of places. but it's probably something even older, because like there was an episode of Rick and Morty where it popped up. You mentioned the South Park where it popped up. I know I've heard it before. But yeah, I mean, it's just, it's hilarious. And the whole battle is just over the top.
Oh my god. I like the lasers are like circle or square shaped. Those are pretty
funny.
Oh my god,
funny. That was hilarious.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah. But I love the fact, though, that like the lasers didn't seem to do anything. Like, the only people who were getting hurt were the crew. Like, the photonic lifeforms, the lasers, like, they were dodging them and stuff. But like, every once in a while in the background, I swear, one of them would get hit and just nothing would happen.
Nothing happened.
You know?
That's what they've been in a stalemate for 100 years or whatever, so I can understand that.
And then it has the best gag when they get outside and they start to combine. And then Ransom's whole gag about they're combining into they're just larger cubes and spheres. They're not very creative at all.
They could be anything. Oh no, wait. Just a bigger orb, a bigger cube.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
And the delivery of that line was just fantastic. I just about died.
Yeah, that was amazing. I like in the interrogation scene, there's Ensign Ollie has a few rapid fire ones. One of them was like, "So you iced a cube?"
Yeah.
And I was like, ice cube, I get it. Yes. I enjoyed that. So yeah, it's funny. We're spending so much time trashing on the orbs and cubes, but then they also had hilarious jokes.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you just gotta kind of accept it because it's just it's a bit,
Yeah.
This isn't an. I think this would not play as well in an episode of like TNG or Deep Space Nine, but I think it kind of works here. Yeah,
it's weird because so much of this show is like 90s Trek love lettering, but then here we have orbs and cubes that is, like I said, like a toss kind of thing or something.
Yeah, and the whole orbs and cubes thing, it's just a classic Trek trope of, they're just two groups where the Federation is negotiating their peace treaty.
You're right about that, yeah. Let's talk about Ensign Ollie, though. She gets introduced, first of all, little fun little details, when she gets introduced on the, she's piling all the stuff on the grav sled.
Yes.
I love all the random little props that showed up there. I like the Worf's circle chair, like the sphere chair thing that has showed up in Trek for a long time. That shows up. There's a Dabo table in there.
There was a Dabo table?
Pool doodles.
I totally missed that.
After it crashes. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
After it crashes, a bunch of more stuff pops out, and a Dabo table is one of them.
It was killing me, because there's the main thing that's on there is that black thing with the arms and the spheres, and I know I've seen that before. Chair. That's the Worf chair?
That's the Worf chair, yeah. It's like in Worf's quarters, and it's shown up for other things.
I was trying to figure out where that was from, and I'm like, I know I've seen it, and I know it's TNG, but I just didn't know where.
Yeah. It's shown up for other stuff, too. I'm sure that Memory Alpha has a whole thing about it. But yeah, it's a good time. I love that introduction, but here's the thing about Ensign Ollie. She is super unlikable. At least I thought she was. Even throughout the entire episode, when she's being competent at first, and then she's hanging around with Mariner, and then she's insufferable at the end. She's a very unlikable character, I thought. Did you like her?
You know that all of her bits are basically Mariner from season 1, right?
It explains a lot then.
Yeah, no, I had no problem. I thought she was great. Like, I almost kind of wish that she had shown up in like a previous season, and that way we could get more from her. I love that relationship of, Mariner seeing that this person is behaving in the same way Mariner was, but had very different motivations for it. I love that Ransom was all like, let's give Mariner a chance to mentor this girl rather than just kicking her out. It's back to Ransom being the best.
I was going to ask you about that. So we've complained about Ransom's performance in the last few episodes, but the Ransom backs up Mariner and giving people a second chance. This must be like the best episode ever for you. That's why you liked it so much.
For me, for Ransom, it's the best episode for the writers, so they don't look like hacks.
Justice for Ransom.
But yeah, he has the best gags in this episode too.
He does, yeah. I love that. That's good. Oh, but here's a question I had regarding Ensign Ollie. So she mentions how she used to be in engineering until she, broke stuff or whatever. And then she got transferred to command. So can they just transfer you like against your will? Like they can just do that?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
they make a big deal about being a voluntary thing with Rutherford and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine they could just be like, "Hey, you can't be an engineer." I mean, they've forcefully transferred people from, stations and ships and stuff. So why couldn't they? Just
ships are one thing, but like, what if they just like change your jobs? Like, I know you signed on to be an engineer, but you know what? Suck it. You need to be in command.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think they were a crew of Maquis, and I just feel like that would not be out of character for them.
Yeah, the whole USS Reseda being a entire crew of Maquis, I just don't know how I feel about that. That's given ex-cons the command of a starship and helping they behave.
You know what? It's they were freedom fighters. I think we got to give them a little credit if we're going to accept that. Yeah. Kira Nerys can be a leading lady on Star Trek. We got to accept the Maquis back. And but that was the big thing. We saw like tons of Maquis in TNG and Deep Space Nine were former Starfleet, right? So it wouldn't surprise me if during the Dominion War, because that was the big thing during the Dominion War, the Dominion were basically wiping out the Maquis. Most of them were killed off. I wouldn't be surprised if, during the Dominion War, a lot of the Maquis went back to the Federation to help fight the bigger threat.
I would hope so. It would make sense.
Yeah, but the implication from Deep Space Nine anyways, and I think Voyager to an extent, was that most of the Maquis were killed off. So, weird that they were able to get an entire crew of former Maquis.
They took all like 30 of them and put them on one tiny ship or something.
These weren't the actual terrorists. These were the guys who did like the Maquis laundry.
Yeah. They were stuck off planet when they all got wiped out doing laundry. Yeah. But back to Ensign Ollie's powers. So this is another place where it is a little too goofball. The lightning balloons.
The lightning balloons that are also made of glass.
Yeah. What the heck is going on there?
But then they're also
it's like they're balloons as they're bouncing.
Electricity of some variety.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is, I know it's a play on the whole Zeus lightning bolt where he's portrayed as holding
grabbing a
physical thing, but mildly ridiculous. You know what? It was hilarious, but a little too cartoony.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things. On first watch, I found it hilarious, but on rewatch, it was a little more grating than it was hilarious.
A little much. Yeah. It's one of those things. Now it's in canon where lightning can also have balloon form, but it also is made of glass and can shatter if you get it in your butt.
I'm going to assume it's like some sort of like energy crystal she's making. That's
okay.
Not really crystal.
Maybe it solidifies. It solidifies into glass like after a few seconds or something. Just
maybe.
A balloon at first.
Who knows?
I'm trying really hard to make it work.
Justify this, but
yeah. But yeah, Ensign Ollie. Do you think she's going to make another appearance before the end of the show?
Maybe.
Because they spend a lot of time on her.
Yeah, but we've had other episodes where there have been, secondary characters that, where there was a lot of time on. And that's one thing that, like, the internet is, like, a lot of people I noticed on, like, Reddit were talking about her becoming a regular crew member and, like, why are they doing this so close to the end? And it's all like, but we've had this happen all the time. Jen originally was a one-off. I can't remember their name, but the red shirt people were a bunch of one-offs.
Right.
They stayed in the background, but they didn't go anywhere. Jet should have been a one-off, but for some reason they kept bringing him back.
He keeps coming back,
back to our inexplicable Jet hate, which I can't even remember why we don't like Jet.
No, we just don't like him. Okay. Well, maybe we'll see her in the background then. She's going to be so hard to miss with the Laurel.
Like I said, I wish they had brought her in last season. I felt like a whole season-long arc of, Mariner being her mentor would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
I do want to call out, though, that I was right in one of my predictions. I said that Laurel Girl was probably going to be one of those Who Mourns for Adonis people.
And you were right.
Yep. Yeah.
I love that. Wow, one of our predictions is correct.
I'm very happy about this. It's we're on season 5. We've made hundreds, if not thousands, of predictions, and we finally got one. I feel like we're beating out Nostradamus for our ratio at this point.
I think so. It can only get better the more predictions we make from here on out.
Well, no, I feel like we should stop making predictions while we're ahead.
Oh, while we're ahead. Okay, keep the ratio good.
We got one.
All right.
Call it a day.
Oh boy. Let's see what else happens in this plot. We talked a little bit about the pixelated residue on the wall there, and I like Freeman. Captain Freeman guesses about it being an energy cold sneeze. She wasn't too far off from that.
No, dude, gross. I love the I touched that when the reveal happened.
I know. It's so great.
Gross.
They're into the mess. I think that's a kink. I don't know. If you're leaving a mess for someone else to clean up, I think that deserves some kink shaming. Usually we say no kink shaming on this show.
I love the fact, though, that when that reveal happens and everybody else is just like horribly grossed out, Ransom is just like, he's got the smirk going and he seems to be on board for it. It's just hilarious. And you know what? I'm gonna turn against you here. No kink shaming. Whatever you're into, people.
What if it's somebody else's problem? Somebody else has got to clean up your.
Dude, it's the future. They probably just have super vacuums for
little
everything.
Maintenance spots.
Yeah, you don't actually have to. You don't have to get out the old
if
wash
it's the robot
rag.
does it, then it's fine.
Well, I mean, that just makes it sound like Data has to clean up.
Gross.
Yeah, I'm thinking more. Roomba has to clean up.
Yeah, like the Discovery kind of disco bots or whatever they call them, maintenance bots.
I feel like Disco Bot would be a terrible 70s sci-fi show.
Oh, we can make it work, though. Just put a little disco ball on them. And,
I don't think you have to make that work. I feel like that premise sells itself. He's a sentient disco ball, maybe?
Yeah. Oh, it's sentient now.
Yeah, because it's a robot, right? It's Disco Ball.
Oh, the entire robot is a disco ball. It's not a robot with a disco ball on it. It's just
it's a sentient disco ball who wants to spread disco to the world.
Oh, I see. Well, you know what? We can make that spinoff work. I had one question. So when they can't find Quadrilon, the missing cube, and they think he's dead, and Kayshawn comes in and says they scanned for Quadrilon but couldn't find him. Why is that? Is there a rationale here? Because they were in the holodeck that time. Is that because they couldn't tell Quadrilon apart from the holodeck, the holographic constructs in the holodeck?
That's probably it. That's a good call out. I didn't even think about that, but that is a good answer. It's just there's a bunch of photonic shit in the whatever
in the holodeck.
And,
yeah.
They don't know the difference.
It's all photonic to them.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Racist censors.
I like that. What do you think of little Square Aaron right at the end there? And I think he does take a poop, and the parent doesn't know how to change it.
Oh my god, that is so simultaneously hilarious and gross. And it's like he poops like a pyramid too.
I know. What is a photonic being poop though?
You know what? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
It's not fully photonic.
Like I said, I don't get the photonic biology going on there. I feel like I don't have an answer to any of these questions.
Oh, man. Okay, well, that's a lot of the Orbs and Cubes plot. Are we missing anything that you wanted to talk about there before we go on to the Boimler book club?
I do want to real quick throw a thing out about the Mariner and Captain Freeman exchange.
Yeah.
Where Mariner just totally steals Captain Freeman's pad to learn about Ollie.
Mm-hmm.
And
just steals it.
I love that she's all like, I've changed, and Freeman totally calls her out on just stealing a pad to get sensitive information that she doesn't have access to. Yeah, that was fantastic. Really great gag. And that's it. This episode has a lot of really blink and you'll miss it bits like that.
Yeah, totally. I love that part too. It shows Mariner has changed, but she's also hasn't really changed.
Yeah, she's the same person.
What else? Anything else there before we move on to the book club bit?
I do want to mention though, when the shape war goes down, the Cerritos gets wrecked. Did you see that?
Yeah, heavily damaged, right?
Yeah,
holes in walls.
That ship is ruined. I hope next episode is them in space dock getting repaired.
They usually do that. Usually after they take damage, the next episode starts with them at a starbase getting fixed. So I hope that continues next episode.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, shall we move on to the B plot then?
I don't know. What was the B plot again?
Oh, that was the Boimler looking to join Dr. Tahana's book club. And of course, it starts out with the all-universe pad, and we've talked about this before.
Makes a return.
It shows that we haven't seen it in a few episodes, but he's obviously idolizing it.
Yeah, so my thing is...
And it's showed up now.
I thought this season, the alt-universe stories were going to be the meta-arc of the season. But it's only been, I guess it's been in 3 episodes. 3 out of 6, so half of them. Mm-hmm. It seems like it's more the pad that's the story here. And not the actual universes.
It's so hard to tell because, as we've talked about in previous seasons, the meta plot doesn't heavily show up until right at the end. The last 2 or 3 episodes tops. So it's hard to say how much it's going to show up.
But I feel like it just showed up pretty consistently throughout the season in past seasons, if they were doing one. Whereas this one, and I don't know, maybe I was just spoiled by the whole Red Squad season, or not Nova Squadron season, where that was a whole season long build up. Maybe my expectations for my animated comedy cartoon show have been raised too high.
They're too high.
Yeah,
impossible.
Yeah, I do love the fact the ongoing gag of, first off, Rutherford totally knows about the pad. And then it turns out that Tendi is aware of it too.
Yes.
I think it was a failure of the episode where we didn't get an interaction with Mariner, where she mentions, is he still reading the pad or something? That would have really made the gag just
cemented
flawless.
It. Yeah. We do get a heartwarming Tenderford moment where they're little twinsies. They both noticed it.
Yeah.
So that warmed my cold dead heart.
I love the cold dead. I love the fact though that whenever they're talking about it, it's it's got the bigger bevel, and it's it's red and it has a completely different shape than their pads, which is hilarious.
Makes it even more funny. I love that joke. It was great. Let's see what else happens. Oh, did you catch? So when Boimler says, it's a regular Ronald B. Moore over here, that's a pretty obscure reference to the Next Gen episode.
What's really interesting is I knew that I had heard that name before, and so I went looking for it. And yes, it is a Next Gen, and I can't remember who he is. Is he a hologram, or is he just some dude?
Yeah, he's a hologram. Yeah. He's trying to teach Data how to do stand-up.
Yeah, how to be
Joe
funny.
Piscopo, played by him. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it's hilarious, because he's not the only Ronald B. Moore to show up in the series. There's a Captain Ronald B. Moore. There's a Ensign Ronald... Shows up everywhere. Yeah. Well, it turns out that the reason for that is that Ronald B. Moore was one of, I think he was a VFX artist, I want to say.
Right. The supervisor, for the show.
And all of those characters are just kind of in honor of him. But, man, it's gotta be nice to know that the Star Trek universe is littered with homages to you.
But of course, the whole point of Boimler trying to join this book club, it's Dr. Ta'ana's Bridge Crew Book Club, which of course gets him in onto the command track that he's gunning for here. But how good can Dr. Ta'ana's Bridge Crew Book Club really be? Can you really see all of them reading? I guess Shax I could see doing it, but everyone else, I'm not sure. Is the book club all it's cracked up to be? Or is it the social aspect that is really what he's gunning for?
I don't know. That's a great question. I do kind of wonder if, I feel like Star Trek crews probably have a lot of downtime, so maybe they are. Maybe they're reading and talking about books. You don't know. Yeah, I could totally see Ransom, though, be all in on that.
I bet he does audiobooks while he's lifting his bells. That's why. That's how well read Ransom is.
I feel like probably in the future, you could read and the machines would be able to just project the books in front of you as a hologram that while perfectly stays in position while you're moving. Because that's the problem with reading when you're working out or walking or whatever. It's just, you bounce around a little and makes it hard to read.
How about the computer reading the book to you in the monotone that the TNG era computer uses? Would that be annoying?
I feel like that would be really annoying. Which, it always cracked me up that the computer was so monotone. That had to have been intentional. Because, they have 80s holodecks with people who can perfectly mimic. The computer can perfectly mimic a normal human cadence.
It's got to be just the 80s production values.
I don't even think it's that. I think it's just, you know what? In-universe. Let's talk about why in-universe the computer sounds like the computer rather than a real human being.
Yeah, I guess people want to know they want to be they're interacting with the computer and not a real person.
Yeah, that they know they're interacting with the computer, and then also probably to prevent people from humanizing their starships. And then, suddenly they're less willing to ram them into the first object they see, Deanna Troi.
She was on the holodeck too much. She personified her ship a bit too much, and that's why she's crashing it.
Oh, man.
Is that what's happening?
Wait, is your implication that she wanted to murder the Enterprise? No, my implication was that she needed to crash the Enterprise in those situations. And if she had developed an emotional attachment to the Enterprise as if it was a real person, she wouldn't have been able to do that. That's what I'm saying, Star Wars.
I see. Okay, sure. We can agree to disagree on that. And then, of course, Boimler interacts with Dr. T'Ana. This is like the most T'Ana bleeping episode, I think, in the show, because there's so much of it.
Again, this is one that on first watch, it's hilarious. But she goes way overboard this time. To the point where it's like, she probably should have been sent to the brig. But it also makes you wonder, like, what did Boimler say to her?
Yeah, was that a racial slur in there?
That's the only thing that I can think, right?
She goes, "What did you just call me?" But I think even when before he starts all that, he just tries to interact with her, and she basically starts the whole interaction off with "No, fuck off," and then it just escalates from there. You should have known Boimler not to get involved with such a thing. But of course, Boimler does come out with a new nickname after all that, and I think it's Fucko, right?
Yeah, I think that's what it's supposed to be. Like, I don't know what else it would be. Poor guy. Like, I love that he's on board for it, but man, that is not a great nickname.
No. Not as good as Flip, that's for sure.
I want to know how he got the nickname Flip.
Yeah. The pad doesn't go into that, I guess.
Yeah, like, I feel like if I was keeping a personal log, I would probably write that down of how I got that nickname.
The origin? Yeah. One hilarious thing, because of course Dr. T'Ana does go completely apeshit on Boimler, and I had the closed captions on. I learned a new word when I was doing the closed captions. Caterwauling.
Yeah, so fun
fact.
Did
you know that word?
Yeah. I mean, it's a wailing. It's the wailing a cat makes. I have literally never actually heard that though used to refer to the wailing a cat makes. I've only heard it used to like insult people when they're like, "Stop your caterwauling," when people are being crying and obnoxious.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was aware.
Yeah, I never heard it before. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's just because you're uneducated, Stavros, you uncultured fuck, doesn't even know, what caterwauling is.
Can you call me an uncultured fucko, though? At least to make me feel a little better about it?
No, not at
all. But like you said before, Dr. T'Ana is completely off the hook for assaulting Boimler. Yeah. She gets off the... what the heck? She should be spending some time in the brig with Ensign Ollie.
Yeah, I guess once you're a senior officer, corporal punishment becomes okay. Who knew?
I guess so.
Yeah.
She's into that.
Maybe if Troy had taken that approach, she would have had less of a Barclay problem.
Perhaps. But of course, at the end of this whole little subplot, Boimler gets his nickname, and he's in with Dr. T'Ana and joining the book club. And so Boimler and Rutherford agree to be pad pals. They agree that being their own self is not the way to go, and staying true to yourself is wrong. So I mean, there's no way this can't be the overall message, right?
No, this is, the best part is though that I love that Rutherford just gets on board with it, right?
I know. He's just like, wow, I need to get to do this too.
I hope that we do get an episode where he does use the pad, and it just leads to hilarious misunderstandings with everybody. That would be fantastic.
Yeah,
because like his alternate self was this cold, unfeeling robot, right?
Yeah, that's true.
I hope. I
don't know what he's going to do there. We'll see.
Yeah. I hope we do get the episode where he uses the pad, but I feel like that's a throwaway gag. It's probably not going to come up again.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I mean, this Boimler having the beard has been this season-long thing. So, I mean, I'm going to make up another prediction. I think Boimler is going to continue growing the beard and then shave it by the end of the season because he's going to, I hope, realize that he needs to be true to himself and get rid of that damn beard. He needs to stop being his, duplicate self and be his own self and shave that beard at the end.
Didn't he talk about growing a beard during the Titan episodes?
Did he? Oh, maybe.
I could have sworn there's a reference to it. I would love if they encounter William Boimler, and William Boimler has grown a beard, and is just an awful human being, and that's what prompts Boimler to shave his beard. That would
I
be
love
fantastic.
that. That'd be great. We do know he's coming. So.
Well, do we know? I believe we've predicted that.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like him from the back.
Given our success rate on our predictions, I am not going to assume he's coming back.
We'll see. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that yes, he is coming back, and I think having him have a beard would be amazing. That's a great idea. I hope they end up doing that.
Yeah, and if they don't, they realize their error. Hey, I'm employable. Hire me on. Write your next Star Trek season for you. Come on.
Yeah, there you go.
You got to get another show out on the air. I'm your guy.
Pick it up, Netflix. Come on, bring it back.
Oh my God.
I saw and as an aside, what's her name? The actress for Dr. Ta'ana, Jillian something.
Yes.
Jillian Vigman. She talked a little bit about the recording for this episode, and she said something like, if the audio ever got out, she would just never work again because it's so dirty.
Oh, really?
And, you know what? That's got to be a DVD special edition or Blu-ray special edition.
That's
or something.
my thing.
You got to release those tapes.
Yeah, I want to be able to unbleep these exchanges. I want to know what Boimler said to Ta'ana, and I want to know what Ta'ana said in response. Come on.
Come on. Make it happen. But yeah, I mean, that's the episode. Is this a good episode or is this not a good episode? You mentioned your opinion is kind of dropped on rewatches.
Yeah,
what's your final take?
You know what? I'm gonna say it's a good episode, but I'm gonna have to reserve final judgment for the full season rewatch because I feel like the episode really got the laughs, right?
Yeah.
It had some of my favorite jokes. Ransom was great throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
Tons of blink and you miss it. Just great little stuff. But the problem is, like we said, the photonic lifeforms thing was a little weird. And on rewatch, I don't know, Ollie's storyline, it's great character stuff, but as an actual story just comes off as all over the place. Boimler's ridiculous behavior the entire episode. It's humorous. I don't know, just on second watch, there's just those jokes that hit really well, but all of the other jokes are really not that great.
Interesting. Yeah, I gotta agree on I thought Boimler's stuff was pretty consistent, except for the whole Ta'ana, assaulting him. I thought that was a little bit much. But, I guess my main issue is, Ollie's powers and the orbs and cubes being a thing. It's edging a little bit too much into jokey territory.
Yeah.
But then again, Boimler doing this thing that's very, as Rutherford even says, I think Tendi asks him, what's he doing? He's just, being Boimler. I'm like, yep, that sounds about right.
What was it? Tendi said something about... what's wrong with Boimler? Or is there something wrong with Boimler? And Rutherford's just the usual.
The usual, yeah. That was amazing.
And that's it.
So
that's
very spot on for
That's
Boimler.
a great bit, right?
Yeah, it's leaning a little much in the slapsticky territory, which is fine. It can be fine for a half-hour comedy show.
Yes, animated half-hour comedy show. Stop expecting it to be peak Trek.
I know. I can expect both. This show is shown it can be both. I want it to be both, especially right now we're so close to the end.
Oh my God.
I regret nothing I've said. All right, well, anything you want to add, or are we done here?
Man, I got... you know what? Actually, this episode I don't have a lot more to talk about. Usually, I'm running out of drink and have to give it up because, I can't go on without a little bit of go juice. But, this time I feel like we set a good pace,
Yeah.
Covered everything I wanted to cover and drank everything I wanted to drink. So, we'll be back next week for episode 7, right? We're on 6. Ooh, that ticking timer of doom just keeps marching.
I know.
But in the meantime, you can check us out over on Blue Sky, lowerdorks.bsky.social, or... if you're feeling somewhat antisocial and maybe a little out of shape, you can find yourself a gentleman who has some sort of shape that is not yours and start your own shape war. I don't know where that was going with that. That one was awful. Let's pretend I didn't say anything and just cut it off after I tell people to go to blue sky. Can we do that?
No, I think I want to float above a treadmill. That sounds like a pretty good workout to me.
You know what? I feel like floating above a treadmill would not be a good workout, unless like it takes a lot of energy to float.